Hey, this is John Malcolm with the rock band, The Simple Radicals. So we have this really cool show called Music and a Brew, where we talk about two of our favorite things in life, music and brew. Each show, we talk to some of the best musicians and music industry folks and discover some of the best craft beers and breweries across America. We'll also learn about their craft, what makes their beer so special. Let's face it, there's absolutely nothing better than chatting music over an ice cold brew. And sometimes you learn some things that may never have been revealed before, like from Todd Circleman, world-class drummer from the band Styx.
On today's episode of Music and a Brew, John and John chat with Todd Sucherman, world-class drummer from Styx, and talk about his new solo album, Last Flight Home. Todd shares a couple of incredible stories over the course of his career while having a couple of ice-cold beers, courtesy of Austin Beer Garden Brewing Company. During the show, we interview ABGB owner Swifty and learn more about their beer and operation located in Austin, Texas.
All right, well, welcome to another episode of Music and a Brew with the Simple Radicals. Johnny, how are you, brother?
Good, man. How you doing?
I'm great. We have an incredible guest today, a guy who is a world-class freaking drummer. Been drumming for Styx for 25 years. Lot to talk about with this guy. Came out with an incredible solo project. Mr. Todd Circleman, how are you, brother?
I'm well, gentlemen. How are you guys doing?
Excellent. Happy birthday, man. Your birthday was yesterday.
It was a lovely day spent with my girls. We went for a lovely walk, made some delicious food, had some cake, and ended the night with cocktails by the fire pit. So it was a lovely day.
Fantastic, man. Well, for your birthday, I was going to buy you a snare drum. However, I see you have a couple. So,
if Buddy Rich came back from the dead and wanted to give me his 1971 Slingerlands, I would have nowhere to put him. I'm absolutely full at the moment. Sorry, I don't know how to kill messages, the text on the computer. So forgive me. It's going to go ding, 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 ding.
Okay. It's good. All right. That's all right. Well, before we dive in, Music and a Brew, the beauty of this podcast is that we team up with a local brewery. And this local brewery, now you're based in Austin, Texas, and the local brewery that is sponsoring this show today is the Austin Beer Garden Brewing Company in Austin, Texas. And they sent us each beer and 32 ounces of luscious brewski, and I am going to crack open the Hell Yes. How about you, Todd and John?
I'm just the ABGB.
Well, it's on the can. It should have right here, little white boxes, and he actually checked off. Does it say which one you got?
Yes, I'm sorry. I have the Rocket 100 Pilsner.
Nice.
Me too.
All right.
Very nice.
I'm going in. I'm cracking this puppy. Oh, yeah.
Nice.
I have a glass. Classy.
Oh, I do. Yeah. Well, wait. I can't find my straw. That's okay. Cheers, gentlemen.
Cheers, indeed.
Salute.
Our special guest today is Swifty from the Austin Beer Garden Brewing Company, located in Austin, Texas. They strive to take beers and goodness and put it into action, improving their neighborhood, their city, and the lives of lots of their folks.
We have a focus on German and Czech styles of lager styles, and we're pretty German style in terms of our brewing. So I guess what it really comes down to is you have to do everything right, and anybody can do what we're doing. I mean, we don't have some sort of secret. You just have to do everything right, which includes getting the right ingredients, giving the beer the right amount of fermentation time and the right temperatures. And like for our beer, you have to give it a long time of cold conditioning for it to get really nice and crisp and get kind of like all those little grainy edges go away, and it just tastes like nice clean malt. And this is what the Germans do. All I say to people is just do what the Germans do. We didn't invent this, they did. So we just try to do it as much as they do it. And so since 2013, we opened ABGB. It's just been a big success. We went with a simple concept that people just want to have a nice beer garden and some live music and pizza. So there was no real, no super challenging, like we do counter service. So we did almost everything to say we're going to try to keep this as simple as possible, and it's worked really well. We want to be part of the community. So after our first year, we realized that we're going to create this, what we call the Hell Yes Project, and run it like almost a separate little company. And all it does is work with charities mostly, and we can't help everybody, but we pick like 5 or 6, and those are the ones for the year that we're, donating pizzas to, for kids who are, who aren't always getting a great meal and stuff like that. So we try not to spread ourselves too thin, but that's kind of where we focus our energy and our advertising.
So people who want to get in touch with you, what's the best way to do it? What's the best way for them to find you and find your brewery and find your beer and everything about you?
Yeah, well, the website's always there. You can email me at brian@theabgb.com. That's THEABGB.com. And, we do answer the phone, so you can always call, and that's how we're doing most of our orders right now.
Yeah.
But definitely just type it into a map. Once we get to the point where we can actually have the beer garden open again. At the moment, we're doing a lot of curbside, and if they want the beer, you can just go to the app, go to the website, and there's an ordering app on the website.
Well, the Austin Beer Garden Brewing Company in beautiful Austin, Texas. Swifty, man, thank you so much for joining us for the podcast, Music and a Brew with the Simple Radicals. We wish you nothing but luck and success, and hopefully you guys open soon, and we hope to see you down there patronizing your wonderful establishment, drinking some ice-cold brewski. I'm going to polish off the Rocket 100 today, and then hopefully when we get back to normal, we can light up your stage with a little rock and roll.
Yeah, thank you guys for this, and yeah, man, I'm looking forward to actually having a beer together outside. And
I love it.
Normal human interaction.
Thank you guys.
Thank you so much, man.
Best of luck to you, my friend.
Thank you, man. Thanks, man.
And now back to more great stories with Todd Circleman, world-class drummer from the band Styx.
So, Todd, before we dive in, you and I have a fair amount in common. And when I say a little, it's a little bit in common because you and I grew up together. So people know, our fans who are watching this, Todd and I grew up in the same town of Lincolnwood, Illinois. You actually were the same age as my brother, played Little League on our team and all that.
I remember your father as a coach as well.
The Mighty M. That's right. That's right.
Boy, I haven't thought of that in several decades.
That's right. So Todd's brother, Paul, is my age, and we grew up in the same school. So we all went to the same high school together. The only difference was after high school and that, you went and become a all-star world-class drummer, and I didn't. So, so that's where we splintered off.
Well, I just with a job like wanting to be a drummer, it's a sink or swim situation. So I had to make sure that I did some swimming.
You did, and it's funny because Johnny, I used to go to their house. We lived, I don't know, maybe 5 or 6 blocks away, and Paul and I used to hang out. And I used to go there. And this is when, Todd, you were probably you've been playing drums since you've been like 2 or 3 years old because your dad was a musician. Mm-hmm. And so you grew up with music in your house. So I remember Paul was keyboards and your brother Joe was bass guitar.
Right.
And you were the drummer. And I go to your house and you were probably 6 or 7. And you were like pro at that time, and you guys, and I'd sit there and watch you guys jam. I'm like, damn, these guys are good. And
that was really the most wonderful card that I was dealt in life was being the youngest in a musical family, because there was always something to talk about, something to learn, something to check out, something to enjoy. And I'd go to other various friends' homes and, look around and go, where are your instruments? How can you people live this way?
This was your life, man. You just grew up in music, and that was the norm.
Yeah, it was a wonderful way to grow up.
That's fantastic. I got a really funny story for you, and I have to share this because you would never remember this. There was a family that lived across the alley from me, and the daughter was having a birthday party, and I took up drums when I was like in 7th or 8th grade, and my parents bought me this little crappy silver sparkle Ludwig set. But to me, it was God's gift. It was like $100. And I went from the playing on the pad, the single pad, and then I finally convinced my parents to get me a drum set. So they got me this little drum set, and there was a birthday party across the alley where my buddy and you were at. Her name is Julie. I won't mention her last name. And you came to her birthday party, and her brother Paul played guitar. So he said, "Hey, why don't you bring your drum set over and we'll play some music for the birthday party?" I was like, "Great." So I brought my drum set over to the party, and you were there, and my little brother was there, and you guys were hanging out. And I had never played a drum set before. So I think I had like maybe one tom, a floor tom, a snare. I don't even think I had a hi-hat. And I had one cymbal. And Paul started playing, and I was just doing the floor tom and the snare, because I didn't know what to hit and all that. And you came up to me and you're like, "Dude, why don't you hit the cymbal?" And so I'm like, "Oh yeah, that sounds good." So that was my first drum lesson from Todd. My one and only drum lesson from Todd Circleman.
It's funny. I just saw Julie for the first time in ages at a show in Los Angeles. She bought tickets and she said, "Hey, I'd love to say hi." I'm like, "Of course." So I got her after shows, and I haven't seen her in quite some time.
That's fantastic, man. I haven't seen her in ages and all that. So Todd, you're highly successful, award-winning musician. You're touring and recording with one of the greatest bands of all time, Styx, from Chicago, one of my all-time favorite bands. You recorded with some of the greatest musicians like Brian Wilson. We got to talk about this: Spinal Tap, Peter Cetera, John Wett and Steve Cole, the Falling Wandellas. You got a brand new solo project. You got a beautiful and talented wife. You got a beautiful child. You're one of the nicest guys. How good does it feel to be Todd Circleman these days?
Well, it feels like I haven't left my house in quite some time. But after 24 straight years on the road, I'm managing with a home time quite swimmingly here. So it's actually strangely kind of nice.
Good for you, man.
I've never had a plan or a system to get from point A to point B. I just always wanted to play music, keep busy, keep a good reputation, because that means everything. And I remember the people who were not nice to me on the way up. I remember the people who were nice to me, and that feeling never goes away. So I always try to, doesn't cost anything to be nice. So I appreciate that compliment. I just kind of do what I do. And if people like it, great. There's plenty that don't, but that's a life in the arts. You know what I mean? That's the way it goes.
You're an artist, man.
So I just try to keep myself busy, and I try to keep myself challenged and entertained. And I try to keep everything at a high musical level, as high as I can.
I think like 10 ounces into my my Hell Yes beer, and I think I have about 22 ounces left to go.
They're adult portions.
Please have them send bigger cans next time, please.
So the Austin Beer Garden Brewing Company is in Austin, Texas. Are you familiar with that? Are you?
I'm not. We're about 25, 30 minutes in the hill country west of the city.
Okay.
And certainly since we had our daughter, I mean, I could probably count on one or two hands the times I've gone downtown. I'm in the burbs now with a family.
You're a suburban guy.
Yeah, that's sort of what's happening for me these days.
Oh, that's too funny. Well, so this brewer, this guy, his name is Brian Swift. His nickname is Swifty. Brian Swifty Peters shipped us this beer, and I am drinking. I think I mentioned you guys. I'm drinking the Hell's Yes, which is a lager, and it was a 2018 Great American Beer Fest gold medal and 2016 gold medal winner. Johnny, what do you got, man? I can't remember. Are you drinking the Rocket?
Yes, same as Todd, and it's dynamite. It's good.
That was a gold medal winner in 15, 17, and 18, and bronze medal in 16. Thank you, Brian Swifty Peters. Oh, by the way, and they have live music, and they've asked Johnny, they've asked our band to come down to Austin to play. And if we do come down to Austin, Todd, I promise you we'll put you on the guest list.
So thank you very much. I just hope I'm in town when that happens.
Yes, because no one's ever heard of you. So I mean, we'll help you out. So Todd, I want to take a dive. There's so much to talk about. I mean, we talk about Styx a lot, but you've been playing with Styx for 25 years. But you just came out with a solo project that was officially released, I think, yesterday, right on your birthday.
That's right.
Okay,
right.
And it's called Last Flight Home. And I listened to your album probably 3 times already. And first of all, the drumming aside, I mean, music and all of it, your vocals are sick, man. You're a really good singer.
Thank you, man.
So have you, I mean, crazy questions because, there's drummers that, Phil Collins, they come out in front of the, but did you ever see yourself in this? I mean, have you been picturing this for a long time? I mean,
no.
Your voice is really good.
No, I was sort of dragged kicking and screaming into this, to be honest with you. My old friend J.K. Harrison, who is my co-writer and co-producer, has been cajoling me to do a record for some time. And I was always like, yeah, that's very nice that you think that could happen. It's very nice of you, but thanks, no. And I would always blow him off. And it was just a convergence of a few things that happened that brought this into fruition. For one, I assumed, as probably most people would who would care to follow what I do, that if I had a record that had my name on it, that it would be some sort of drum-centric, jazz fusion recording, which I suppose I always envisioned. But I just played on the Antoine Fafard record, Boromian Odyssey, which is the most challenging music that I've ever attempted. And I was flattered that he asked me to do it. And I also did most of Australian guitarist named Zan Niko, Tzanniko. I think I did like 9 of the 11 tracks on there. And that was very challenging, almost like progressive metal in a way, guitar shredder, but like really beautiful stuff. So that itch had been scratched, so to speak, for the time being. And truth be told, I've always been drawn to songs, melodies, lyrics, the story of the lyrics, and melodies most important over everything.
Yes.
So it just so happened that JK was asking me at the right time, and the very last song on the record, Kindling, is a cover from a band called Elbow from Manchester, England. And that song was on, and randomly my wife, who's a brilliant singer, turned to me out of the blue and said, "You'd sound great singing this. If you ever do something, you should cover this song." So it was this convergence of all these things, and then I was about to spend a few days in Los Angeles where JK lives. So this thing all just sort of happened, and I didn't believe it was going to happen really for a couple months into it. I just thought this was a lark, and I was able to spend time with my old friend, and Phil Collins has always been a hero of mine, and I got to meet Phil last September for the first time through his son Nicholas, who's playing drums with him.
Yes.
And the fact that I met Phil in the middle of like making this record, it just added a little, magic fairy dust on the whole thing. And I thought, I have to kind of see this through. But I still didn't really believe it until we went into the final mixing and mastering stages. My mother didn't even know I was doing this. Seriously, this was done under the cover of darkness entirely. Because I didn't want to say, "Hey, I'm doing a record," and then, put my head back in my shell and pull the plug on it. And hey, what's going on with your record? Nothing. What record? What? Sorry. So yeah, I didn't really believe it until it was sort of upon me.
Man, and it's described as paying homage to your deep well of musical influences. We'll talk about that and all that. And it's also, and the way you describe it is also deeply personal expression of the human experience. And I want to talk about a few of your songs. This is your lyrics are this is very personal. I mean, this is like diary material.
Well, JK and some of the other co-writers did a majority of the heavy lifting there. So I can't take credit for all the lyrics as composed by me, to be fair.
Did you give them for example, in we'll start with Last Flight Home, which is the title track of the album. Sounds like it's a song from that's your road song. I mean, is it, because the album's got all your suitcases and all the different hotel doors.
That's the song that I wrote majority of the lyrics, because it was based on that.
That came from the heart.
That was really the night that I thought this could actually happen, because JK and I wrote that song in a half hour, and it was one of those magical nights where it was just back and forth like lightning.
Yeah.
And before you know it, like we had it in pretty much that form. And it's one of those times where you just think, hey, songwriting's fun. You wish it was always that easy. And that kind of became the yellow brick road that materialized where I could see this is like a centerpiece. This could be track one or the title of the record, which it ended up being.
Right.
But no one wants to hear a rock musician's problems or complain, especially now, which it doesn't matter to a hill of beans. But I just always wondered that, it seems like I normally have a really easy time flying out to begin a run. Right. But coming home seems to be friggin' warfare. Right. And a litany of broken planes, inclement weather, missing crew. And when I say broken planes, man, I'm talking about someone threw up on the flight before. There's a tail light out. So now there's 3 hours of paperwork that has to be done. A tire, they got to fly in a tire from Dallas. All these things. Because when I go home, very often I have other things booked. I have master classes or clinics or another record book. So when the guys have 2 weeks off, I might be going home for 3 days before I have to fly out somewhere.
Right.
So if all of a sudden I'm delayed an hour or 8 in an airport and I'm only going to be home for 3 days, that's precious, precious time I don't spend with my wife and daughter. So really in recent years, I've learned if I want to get home, if I want to stand a chance of actually getting home, I take the first flight out now, so I don't end up on the last flight out.
6 a.m.
Better yet, 5:15, 5:30. Just send me towards Austin. Send me to Dallas because 9 times out of 10 that flight is going to leave, and then we'll deal with the connection once I'm in the direction of Austin.
Well, you're crushing it because go ahead, Johnny.
Oh, you're on the road a lot. How many months a year do you think you're on the road?
I mean, I've been in a band that's done between 90 and 120 shows a year for 24 straight years.
Oh my gosh!
So it's hard to even fathom that. What and with all the other things that I do, I'm definitely gone more than I'm home by a lot.
Yeah. You're crushing me because the life of a rock star. You're killing the glamour, man. Stop it.
Well, I would say a rock musician. I wouldn't call myself a rock star, but thank you. It's if it were easy, everyone would do it.
That's right. Right. I want to talk about another song, which a couple more songs on our album, An Invitation. Very Genesis-ious, right? You
got it. You're one of the only people that called that straight out of the gate.
Right. Welcome. Fantastic. I think that was one of my favorite songs on the album. Talk to me about "You are cordially invited to attend my final exit." Who are you talking about, man?
I mean, it's a Renaissance age forbidden love tale where the narrator is going to have his life ended because of a forbidden tryst in the somewhere in a Renaissance fair. I don't know.
It was great. It's a great song, and the way. So let me ask you another question. As a drummer that you are, when you write a song, how are you writing it? Because obviously you're thinking through on drums, all that. How are you writing it musically?
JK had a pretty good charcoal sketch demo for that song. And the lyrics were his on that.
Okay.
But we definitely played up the madrigal side of it and the theatrical side of it because I wanted it to sound like a cross of Genesis from A Trick of the Tail all the way to and then there were 3.
Yes.
That was the goal, and so much so that the original rhythm thing that was happening in the chorus, I changed entirely, and I unabashedly stole Phil Collins' drum groove idea to the song Snowbound, because it alludes to a 6/8, but it's not. It's 4/4, and it leaves all this space, and then we added the jangly 12-string acoustic, put in a single a tambourine hit, and it changed the face of the whole thing entirely. And I don't know if you could see over here. That's the main recording kit, the Pearl Works. But I also have this behemoth back there. It's a 1978. Oops, let me get that right. 1978 Premier Concert Time kit. And that is the Phil Collins era drums. Those are the In the Air Tonight drums, not Gretsch. Those are Premiers. Wow. So I overdubbed the entire drum part on that song, or 2 drum kits lined up together. So the Pearls and the Premiers.
Wow. Very cool, man.
Awesome.
If don't go half Phil Collins, you got to go full Phil Collins on that.
Yeah. Full Phil. It's all about fulfilling. Okay, so 2 other songs that I think I'm going to go here and all that. I think I'm right. Which You're Smart. I think you wrote 2 songs about your beautiful wife, Perfection and Red Velvet Girl. Were those about your bride?
Perfection.
At least say Perfection was. Otherwise, she'd probably never speak to you again.
Right. Yes, Perfection is definitely, well, it encapsulates the feeling of when you meet someone and then you realize, holy smokes, wait, this is the one. This is, because when I met her, I wasn't looking for a relationship or looking to get married, and that was sort of the thing. You realize, wait a second, I can't screw this up, and I can't let her go. This is the one. So I think
keep it down. I don't want my wife to hear this. Okay.
Well, I mean that's the way I felt anyway. And there's nothing cornball when it's real. And that's how I feel. As it builds into the bridge, you could just feel the character listing off. Perfect harmony, perfect symmetry,
that's beautiful.
Crazy energy, all these things that you start to feel that you realize this is the one. With She's Red Velvet, that's a little bit more of a, to me, I think of music and a lot of imagery and things that evoke ideas and imagery in my mind, and that would be some terrifying vampire club in the show True Blood or something like that. Some seedy club with dangerous women in the bayou or something like that, and there's a girl who is enticed and intoxicated you, even though you know that it's no good, and this is a dangerous proposition.
Oh, okay. Because some of the lyrics, when I sing to her, she hums along. You also say, then she sings my rights and wrongs from when
then she reads my rights and wrongs.
Oh, okay. Reads my rights and wrongs. Got it. From the day we met, I've been hell bent. I can't replace her. I'll have to chase her. Sounds like you're talking about someone there, but
yeah. That's not the vibe I had in mind, but it could be. See, that's the beauty of music. It's
right.
It's up to the interpretation of the listener.
Right.
And far be it for me to screw that up for someone. So
that's right. Well, thank you. Okay, the song "Damage." Is that a personal song? Because you talk about cigarettes, candy bars, and a bottle of Hendrix. I wish I were oblivious to the damage around me. I wish I were responsible for the damage around me. Is that a hard road song? Had a couple rough moments in time, or what are we talking about?
No, to me, what that song represents, having lived in Los Angeles and knowing a lot of musicians who were talented but were socially inept or were just sort of bastards and unreliable. And
okay. and is this a revenge song?
No. It's more of an observer. But someone who just drops grenades at their feet and wonders why their life is a mess. Because the lyrics are, I wish I was oblivious to the damage around me. I wish I weren't responsible to the damage around me. So
I wish I weren't responsible. That's right. Yes, very good song. I want to talk about one more song, which is a beautiful song. Do You Know Me? Strings, some piano. It was a very personal song. I'm asking, please let me know I'm not alone, even though I am. Give me a sense of connection. Do you know me? One thing I promise you, I'll never leave, even though I slip away into the night. I think I'm reading those words right. That's a really personal, deep song.
That comes from J.K. And it's basically the character of the story. Again, not my personal experience, but it's a person who desperately is trying to be faithful and true, but just isn't at his core, and it kills him. And but he's trying, but he's still failing, but he's still trying.
He's trying.
That's the inherent sadness of that, is that he knows that he's dangerous and that he wishes and it's to his detriment that
Huh?
that his
Variant.
what he goes through ends up, it could be the character from The Damage in a more pensive moment.
Right. Well, for those of you, this podcast will be going out worldwide because it's be going on all our platforms as well as being syndicated out. You've got to hear this album. Like I said, I've heard it. I bought it and I got the download version and I've listened to it 3 times. It's really it's an amazing album, Ty. You should be extremely proud of yourself, and I know you are. But it's beautifully. It sounds great. The words are fantastic. Your vocal intonations. You're great. Aside from a great drummer, you're a great singer. It's really a phenomenal album, man. Congrats.
Thank you very much. I mean, it still feels crazy to have done this. I've always been sheepish and shy about singing. I've been, confident singing background vocals with other people that I feel are really good singers.
Yes.
But to step out and do this, it was terrifying, and because it was terrifying, I felt that that's where I need to be. If I need to do something safe and that I know I could do, then what was the point of that? I didn't know that I could do this, and with the coaxing and help of JK, my wife, it's here we are. And I never would have authored this for myself, a year and a half ago, that I'd be here
Awesome.
talking.
Good for you, man. So where's the best place for people to go to get your album? I mean, I know you got your website, toddcircleman.com.
If you want a hard copy or a signed copy or the high resolution wave download, toddcircleman.com is the only place to get that right now. CD Baby, which is distributing the record on all platforms, is not accepting hard copies at the present time due to the health situation. Right. So, if you go to Amazon, which for some reason you have to really search Todd Circleman Last Flight Home to buy the download there. It's on iTunes. I'm sure it's probably on most streaming platforms. But if you want a hard copy, and also if you want the 180 gram limited edition hand-signed, numbered vinyl, again, toddcircleman.com is the only place to go.
Terrific.
Johnny, I've been hogging Todd the whole time, man. I know you have a question you want to throw at him.
Well, to lighten it up extremely, as somebody who has the license plate Spinal Tap 1, you got to play with Spinal Tap. Did you tour with Spinal Tap or just?
I took a long plane ride with them. I guess it would be almost boring. The first time I played with them was we did the Tonight Show in 2000. And we played Stonehenge, complete with Little People and the 18-inch monument.
Nice.
One great memory from that was, coming down to the drum set to get ready to, after the commercial break, come back and go. There was a piece of paper on my snare drum that said, set list, Stonehenge.
That's awesome.
So that is framed in the office, of course. And then I did Jimmy Fallon and Jon Stewart, the Daily Show with them in 2009, and I believe that's the last time Spinal Tap as a full band did anything.
Wow.
But
which is so sad.
I can tell you that those guys are, besides being phenomenally, geniusly funny,
right?
They're all lovely human beings, right. And they really care about playing. They want to play and sing.
They're actually really good musicians.
Yeah. When I saw Spinal Tap in '92, and my biggest complaint was they're almost too good.
No, I mean, you could assume that they're, wildly successful entertainers, comedians, writers, movie stars, whatever, that they're just doing this as a lark. But, I'm watching Christopher Guest go through 3 or 4 different Marshall, heads to find the one that he likes the best.
Yeah.
He cares. Look, those guys care.
They're musicians.
That's awesome.
And, just to sit and have a couple dinners with those guys and spend the time in the green room, they are literally a firing squad of comedy. And they don't make each other laugh that much because they're just so funny.
Right.
We could be at rehearsal and Harry would say something and Christopher would just go.
Just
and
it's funny.
That's Christopher laughing. Or Michael would go. And that's it. And I'm back there trying not to seem like, Jeff Spicoli going. It's a career highlight that I hold dear.
About 3 years ago, I had the luxury of having dinner with Rob Reiner. It was at some function, and I sat next to him, and we chatted the whole night. And I cannot believe it, but I never asked him why the hell they never came out with Spinal Tap 2. Did you ever?
Oh, they did.
Wait, they came out with a second one?
Yeah.
Oh my God, I missed it.
But it was like a special. It wasn't a full feature movie though, right? It was like a special.
Yeah, it was Break Like the Wind. I know way too much about Spinal Tap.
Oh, jeez. Okay. Well, then I completely missed it because I wanted to ask him that because to me it seemed like such an easy franchise to go 2, 3, and 4 on. I mean, it was just like Wayne's World. I mean.
Well, I'm sure everyone was involved in other projects constantly, and trying probably to get all of them together would be very difficult. I did play 2 songs on the Derek Small's Change record that came out.
Oh, nice.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, I did get miscredited on one of the songs, which is a big bummer for me because it was a drum solo with just me and Steve Vai, and Greg Bissonette credited on the record, and I'm like, oh, come on, guys.
Wow.
That's a topsy-turvy world of rock and roll now, isn't it?
It's rock and roll, baby. That's rock and roll. So I got a question for you. You've been on the road for...
I'm good friends with this guy, Des Murphy, who's Roger Daltrey's son-in-law, and I know Roger's daughters. And when we were touring in Europe and the UK in 2005, we were playing in London, and Des came down early to sound check. We were going to hang out. And he told me that The Who were just asked to play Live 8. But Zach Starkey couldn't do it because Zach was on the road with Oasis at that time.
Oh, wow, okay.
And Des said, I checked your schedule. I told Roger that you're already over here and that you could do it. But I checked your schedule, and you're going from Milan to Dallas. See, only my band would do 2.5 weeks in Europe and then immediately 2 days later be playing in Dallas. Most bands would have a week off to decompress and kind of get used to the time zone change.
I think they call that poor scheduling.
Be that as it may, just knowing that for a second that maybe my name was thrown in as a possibility to play with The Who at Live 8, when it was Paul McCartney and Coldplay and U2 and Pink Floyd, just knowing that maybe there was a sliver of chance that could have happened, that I call it the deathbed smile. I could be lying on the bed and go, oh yeah, that. And,
so that was not worth getting fired from Styx for. That's what you're saying.
Well, it certainly wouldn't have paid all the bills since 2005.
Yes.
But that's a gig that I would love to.
Good for you, man.
That's cool.
I think that would be a lot of fun.
That would have been sweet and all that. We'd be remiss if we didn't talk about Styx, one of my all-time favorite bands. When I was taking my drum lessons, I was putting on my headset and playing to Grand Illusion, much better than you do. So I got some tips for you, but we'll talk about that later. But would you? And this is Johnny and I talk about this because John, I sent you our link to our music and all that. We're kind of a retro classic rock band. We're a new rock band that has this retro classic rock sound, very kind of 70s, 80s sound, which is what we grew up in, and it's doing great for us, and we're having a lot of fun. We were supposed to actually come down to Austin this summer and play South by Southwest.
Oh, man.
This thing called COVID canceled it. But we have a couple festivals this summer that we're playing with Jefferson Starship and another festival with Molly Hatchet and hopefully we don't know if they're still on, they're still scheduled, so hopefully we'll be able to play with them and all that. But the fascinating thing is that the bands that aside from you got your Dave Matthews and all that, but the bands that are doing really well and attracting the biggest crowds. We did a podcast with Dax Nielsen, who another great drummer from Trick. Great guy.
Yeah, he's a pal. Yeah.
Yeah. And we saw them. John and I went up to Milwaukee and saw them with ZZ Top. But the bands like the Styx and the REOs and the Journeys and the bands that we grew up with, those are the ones that are filling the arenas and all that. Would you have thunk that at a certain point in time? Because the music is timeless. And my girls are, older now. They're 24 and 20. They're over the pop stage, and now they're starting to take deep dives into classic rock. They're now getting to REM, and I've turned them on to Styx and all that. But would you have thunk, because you're playing in front of thousands and thousands of people, that this would be this timeless for this long?
Yes, actually, and there's a few reasons for that. When the music is good, it's good. And
yes.
When you released music during a time that people would sit and listen to music or put on the headphones, hold something that's tactile in their hands about this big, and look at the artwork, look at the photos, read the liner notes, and dream into hidden meanings of the artwork or whatever like that, that gets its claws into you.
Agreed.
And that's part of one of the problems of why very few modern bands can cultivate a multi-album, multi-year trajectory, because now music is just something that can be conjured out of the air.
Yep.
Alexa, play blah, 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 blah. Or here's my playlist, and it's wireless through the house.
That's right.
I'm very, very glad that about 2 months before COVID hit, I invested in a nice turntable. And I haven't had a turntable in 30 plus years.
Too funny.
And I kept all my vinyl. I never got rid of it. I don't know why. I couldn't. It'd be like throwing out photo albums or something. I couldn't get rid of them.
Yeah.
And I'm so glad that I kept them, and I bought, all this other new stuff, and I'm hunting certain things down. And because music is tactile, and it's so great to be able to pull out a record, put it on. The way the analog music infiltrates the room, it's different. It's like something's thick and syrupy there with you, and it's not this buzzing gnat flying around your head, the way digital music that you just conjure out of the air. And I like that my daughter is able to see, okay, we're putting the record here, and they're now playing. And she's, look, she knows who Marvin Gaye is, because there's Marvin Gaye. What's going on? Like, those images will stick with you. When you have no image other than Alexa, play blah, blah, blah.
That's right.
It means nothing.
Right.
And when you're done with the song, you're done. And when you're done with the band, you're done. Oh, I liked them last year. I don't give a crap about them now.
That's right. Or last week. Yeah.
So bands that were fortunate enough to come out, and I'll keep this to the rock era, the 60s, 70s, and 80s, when there was a tactile product that was big, that you could hold, that had cool artwork, that had cool photos, that had a gatefold or whatever.
Yep.
Any of those bands, as long as they're alive and healthy, will always have an audience.
Yep.
And you can't say that about most bands from about 1995 on.
I totally agree. And I remember having this conversation with my girls when they were just starting to listen to music. It's so funny, Todd. We just bought a turntable too. And we bought one for my daughter who lives in Chicago, where you and I grew up in. And I asked her, I said, we're going to get you a turntable and just pick 2 albums, any albums you want. And she wanted us to buy her High Infidelity by REO and Fleetwood Mac Rumors. And I'm like, oh man, that's just awesome. She went right for the classic rock and all that. And then I bought her across Grand Illusion because I had to. But I had this conversation with them when they were kids. And they were into the Biebers and I'm not discounting them at all. Great musicians, listen, they've done with Taylor Swift and all that. They have their own audience and all that. But I said, I think that you will probably not be playing this music for your kids. I am playing this music that I grew up in for you, and I know you're going to like it. And I think you are going to like this music as it progresses. So, and that's exactly what's happened. I think they will grow up and play Styx and REO and Fleetwood Mac and and some Pearl Jam and all that for their kids, because it is timeless, really good music. And I'm not, I don't think they're gonna sit down and go like, oh man, this Bieber song. I just don't see it happening.
Well, I'm not saying this about Bieber. I'm saying this about, like a lot of non-melodic music that would, be in the category of rap. Now, I'm going to sound like an old fuddy-duddy here, but melody does things in the brain that only melodies do.
Yes.
Yep.
So if your music is devoid of melody, it's not lighting up the synapses. I mean, there's been studies where you can see the brain light up. And you might like, oh, that's a funny, rap song about, I like big butts or whatever the friggin' thing is that it's about now. And it's going to be like Mr. Jaws or some novelty song down the road, ultimately, where a good melody that connects with a good lyric is timeless.
Yes.
Now, there's good rap out there. I don't particularly care for it, but I can tell the difference. I can hear when something, like Eminem. Okay, that's good. There's certain things I'm like, okay, I'm with that.
I'm with you. Totally.
Melody is to me is king. I mean, I don't even like the blues. You have to be really friggin' great at the blues for me to even care.
Right.
Because it's largely devoid of melody to me.
Interesting. Very interesting. Listen, I mean, and that I totally respect that. We've taken up so much of your time and all that. I get
one of my favorite Little League memories was because we were teammates for 1 year, and then the next year we were on different teams, and I was a relief pitcher, and I was slow. I wasn't one of the wild, crazy guys that cast fear in everyone, but I was smart and I was accurate with a pitcher. But I wasn't very fast. And I remember Tom was shaking with delight that they just put me in the middle of the sixth inning, whatever, and he was the first batter up. He was squirming with delight, and I struck him out on 3 pitches. Nice. He was so mad. He was so upset. And so that's one of my favorite Little League memories was striking your brother out.
He struck out a few times since then. I know you recorded Lady, which is, I guess, Lady 95 and all that, but you must tell me about your relationship with these guys. Cause I mean, I grew up with these guys. I mean, as of you and all that, but you must have a wonderful relationship with them.
Well, I mean, I wouldn't still be there if I didn't, they're all, Dennis is gone,
right.
from the band and but everybody's like a lovely guy. They really care. Every night they throw it down. It doesn't matter if we're in a field in Nebraska or New York City. Like, they treat people in Nebraska, they deserve the same show that people in New York get. Right. So there's never a night that they phone it in. They leave it on the stage every night, and that's inspiring for me. If I'm feeling like I've got the sniffles or I'm tired, it's the 5th show in a row and I'm sore, that to see these guys that are 20 years my senior throwing it down, I'm not going to be the bummer. I mean, it's very inspiring for me. And Tommy Shaw is he's never sounded better. He's never sounded better.
His vocals are insane.
I mean, there are some people that say, hey, you sound the same, or like, hey, he can still do it. Like, he can still do it. He's never sounded better.
He never sounded better.
Sound as good on Pieces of 8 as he does right now.
Yes.
As a 66-year-old. And that's amazing to me.
It is amazing, all that. Tell me about the Styx fans, because they're probably, you're seeing multi-generational. You're seeing people who grew up with them when they were kids and all that. Now they have kids, and maybe they have kids or grandparents and all that. What about the Styx fans?
Yeah, it's like you said, it's from 1 to 92. It's and different venues and different locations will have a different crowd. I remember playing some fest down by the river in Nashville, and I was happy that 2 of the Pearl Drum A&R guys came, and they were on the side of the stage.
Right.
And it was like drizzling, and there were young people all singing along, and chicks on top of their boyfriends with their hanging out and stuff like this. And I was so glad that the Pearl Drum guys saw that, because you could easily just go Styx, like us, like Perry Como's audience. It could be all guys in with gray hair and golf shirts. and I remember saying, "Look at that! You see that?"
Right. That's right.
But, those things can happen. But I can say, for a lot of the bands that I've toured with, that we've been on bills with, that I've gotten a glimpse into their inner world, I'm very happy to be cast with my lot. And there's a lot of other bands I see that for the but for the grace of God, go I, whatever the saying is.
And there's a reason why you guys are together, and you could tour for, as long as everyone stays healthy, not whatever, you could tour for another 20 years. Cause you know what? The music, everyone wants to hear that music, man. It's freaking awesome.
Health and time is the only thing that could keep us from doing this.
I tell my kids, I'm fighting two things, time and gravity.
Yeah.
Well, I'll leave you with this because I got to go in because it's going to be time to take the little munchkin up to bed and begin the long nighttime routine. But Lawrence and I, and this is really his concept, he talks about the power of 8 o'clock.
Right.
And, the guys in my band, they look great. And, Tommy, 66, he takes off his shirt, he's got a 6-pack. I didn't have a 6-pack when I was 18,
Yeah, I have a 6-pack and it looks like this.
But these guys and me, I guess, even though I'm fighting my father's shape, and fighting the heredity thing that I have. But when most people 50 and up or in their 60s, when it gets to be 8 o'clock,
yeah,
they're not putting on clothes in front of a mirror and warming up and doing things to get ready to go out in front of a lot of people and have photographs and videos taken of them.
Yeah.
Most people 50 and up at 8 o'clock are putting on their sweatpants and their slippers, cracking open a beer and turning on the TV. So that's one of the things that helps keep this band and bands that do this successfully in shape because of that power of 8 o'clock. That's what you got to do. You want to stand in front of people and look pretty good or good. You got to do in the day. Yeah. And at night to make that happen. And you have to still be able to play your instrument. You still have to be able to sing and do it
Yep.
at a high level and do it at a consistent level.
Yep.
All the time.
Yep. No, you're spot on that. And I'll let you go. I forgot. I was so stupid to ask because I know you brought it up and all that, but you guys have a new record coming out. I forgot to ask you.
We don't because it's not recorded yet. But
okay.
It will be.
As a band that's been around for so long, what does it sound like now at this stage of the game? Do you guys? Well,
it's just Tommy's demos with some of Lawrence's things on there, so it hasn't been fully Styxified yet. But I can tell you that the material is really awesome. And there's some prophetic lyrics in a few of the songs that it sounds like it's written about what's happening now. There's a song called Sound the Alarm that I damn near stopped playing and burst into tears because it sounds like it was written today about what's going on, including a line, take shelter with the ones you love. And maybe we could rise above, sound the alarm, it's all clear.
Wow.
Yeah. So
it's topical and timely.
Yeah. But, I haven't even asked him, what made you write that 4 or 5 months ago,
Right. Pre-apocalypse.
Yeah.
Wow. Oh man, it's so great to connect with you. Well, Todd Circleman, with your phenomenal new project, Last Flight Home, ToddCircleman.com. Look for this album. It is such a pleasure to catch up with you again, man. I can't thank you enough. And we cannot thank the Austin Beer Garden Brewing Company in beautiful Austin, Texas. Go to the ABGB.com, www.theabgb.com. Check them out. Hopefully, there you go. Hopefully the Simple Radicals will be down playing Austin, and hopefully Styx will be on the road soon, man. And when you come out, I'm haunting you because I'm coming to see you. I want to do a Julie, and I want to come see you backstage and shake your hand. Well, I guess their elbow touch or
that might be over now.
I hope so. Right. But I hope we can see each other in person as opposed to being so socially distanced.
Likewise. Well, I appreciate you guys having me on the show. Stay in, stay safe, and let's do what we got to do to put this in the rearview mirror.
I love it, man.
Cool. Great to meet you, Todd.
Likewise, John.
Great to see you, brother. Stay safe, brother. Take care.
Yeah.